I tightened my jaw, took a big breath, and texted back. Number, I'm done. Then I shut off the phone. They'd made their choice. They were now going to have to live with it. The stillness lasted one day. I knew my parents would not give up so quickly, but I wasn't prepared for what happened next. The next morning, I received a notification on my phone, a bank transfer request. I grimaced as I unlocked my phone to check. It was from my mother. She had genuinely asked me for money. As if I were an ATM. What is the amount? $3,500? I looked at it in surprise, partially chuckling at the arrogance. There's no message. There's no explanation. Just a cold, blatant demand for the precise amount required to cover their outstanding mortgage. They didn't even ask anymore. They just assumed I would give in. I declined without hesitation. Not even 5 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Mom. I let it ring. Then followed another text. Mom messaged, Jake, I know you saw the request. Why did you decline it? I took my time before responding. Because it's not my responsibility. Try Eric. Another call. Declined. Then another text. Mom messaged, we're going to lose the house if you don't help us. Oh, this was an emergency. After years of exploiting me as a walking wallet, they were finally facing the repercussions. I wrote back. Maybe you should have thought about that before deciding I didn't matter. A few seconds later, Dad joined in. He said, you're really going to let your parents become homeless? That one had me laughing out loud. The manipulation was so obvious it was almost comical. They weren't broke. They were not going to be put on the streets. They simply didn't want to go into their personal savings because they were accustomed to me covering everything. I disregarded them for the remainder of the day. That night, I received an SMS from Eric. Eric messaged, dude, just send them the money already. You're making this a bigger deal than it is. I clenched my jaw. Did this entitled little jerk really think he could lecture me? I wrote back. You mean the same money you're inheriting? Why don't you send it? His response came quickly. Eric messaged, you know I don't have that kind of cash right now, right? So now it's about affordability? He was fine with me draining my accounts, but whenever it was his turn, he had nothing to offer. I responded, guess you better figure it out then, bro. You're the one they chose. No response. I went to bed feeling strangely relieved, as if I had finally broken free from years of manipulation. However, the situation worsened the following day. I was at work when I received a call from my apartment's front desk. Receptionist. Hey, Jake, your parents are here. I almost dropped my phone. What? She paused before adding, they're saying it's an emergency, and that you won't answer their calls. Oh my God. They showed up at my flat solely because I stopped paying their bills. I took a deep breath and pinched the bridge of my nose. Please don't let them up. I'm not expecting them. There was an awkward moment. They're being kind of pushy. I clenched my jaw. I don't care. They can leave. I hung up and instantly received a text from Mom. Mom messaged, we downstairs. Open the door. No question. There's no explanation, just another demand. I didn't respond. Another text message from Mom. Jake, we're not leaving until you talk to us. I breathed sharply and stood up from my desk. They were not about to back down. Fine. I was about to teach them a lesson they would never forget. I snatched my keys and stormed downstairs, my blood seething. I was not scared. I was infuriated. The sheer chutzpah of these guys to walk up uninvited at my house and demand money as if I were their personal ATM. Not even a phone call beforehand. Not even a half-hearted apologies. Just a straight-up ambush. They actually thought they could corner me into submission, like if I were a naive child? I yanked the door open, and there they were. Mom, Dad, and, of course, Eric, all standing in a close formation, as if they were preparing to hold a family intervention. Mom had her arms crossed, her typical disappointed mother expression locked and loaded. Dad stood rigid, hands in his pockets, his face a mix of frustration and entitlement, as if he couldn't believe I was forcing him to do this in person. And Eric, the tiny leech, had the guts to appear bored. Like the entire scenario was only mildly inconvenient for him. As if he was not the cause of any of this. When Mom saw me, she went into full theatrical.